Hello, my darlings. Welcome to or welcome back to Marion K Tarot. I hope you're doing well this week. This is going to be a reading for the 26th of January to the 1st of February. Yes, we have made it. We are in the final stretch. What's going on with my hair? I look like a 90s whatever I look like there with that quiff. I am so excited this week because it's taken a wee couple of weeks for me to get into my stride with this whole pitting a deck thing out the jar. So what I decided to do was I decided to do it off camera, just because it just saved any hassle. But I promise you I did do it fair and square. And this week I chose the Alice Tarot, and honestly, the Alice Tarot is like, it is one of my most prized decks out of everything. It is one of my most prized decks, and the reason for that is when I was little, I adored the story Alice in Wonderland. I think it just really resonated with me because I think sometimes it was like I didn't really feel like I belonged in the reality that I was in. I don't know why, but it just really spoke to me. So it is the almost sacred. I know I use that's a big word, but it kinda is. First edition Baba Studios version. And this, often people will talk about, what deck would you save for a burning building, etc. And this is probably the deck that I would save if I could only save one. This would be it. It's my first edition. It's the Baba Studios. It is out of print. It's very out of print. I don't know if they've got any plans to do another print run. There was a second edition, it had different backs. This is the first edition backs with a white rabbit on it. I don't know if you can see that there. It kind of reminds me Wedgwood pottery. It's very much like a Wedgwood blue. And yeah, that's the box. It's before they started doing the wooden boxes, so it shows you how old this is. I'm trying to think how long I've had this deck, and it's over 10 years. I'm sure it's over 10 years because I'm trying to remember where I stayed, because I know that I was not in this house, and I've been in here for 10 years, so it's over 10 years. Anyway, I'm warbling, okay? Let's get stuck into this and let's have a look and see what's happening. I'm shaking up things with the Oracle card. I am using the Ari Wisner Find Your Own Way Oracle. So we'll get to that second of all. So yeah, I'm really sorry. I feel like I'm teasing you with this deck because it rarely comes up in second hand sites, and when it does, it's a real considerable price. I was incredibly lucky when I get mine. It was still very much in print, and I think I actually got this. It wasn't direct through Baba Studios. I'm sure it was like a shop that had a website in Glastonbury. Sure it was. But anyway, so let's see what energies we've got for the 26th to the 1st. And I think it's just like a totally appropriate deck for Aquarius season, for being a bit out there. Let's see, what energies can we look forward to? Can we see what's happening this week? Okay. Oofed. We have got a very interesting week. At the bottom of the deck, we have got the Five of Cups. So that's the Mad Hatter there, and it has got, there is foil on these cards. So that's the Mad Hatter. And the Five of Cups, it speaks very much to that that grieving process, really, you know, that it is the card of loss in tarot. It's the card of in fact, I've got a cup of tea there, so I'm moving these over here. It is the card of loss, you know. It's a card of grieving, of realizing, you know, we've what we had, as opposed to, you know, I think sometimes it's a good way to look at that card, you know. It's like, right, what did you have, as opposed to, you know, it's like, be grateful for what you had and be grateful for the lessons that it provided, you know, but also acknowledge the fact that you're having that loss. Okay, and it fits in with the first card out, because the first card out is death. Then we have got the King of Swords, and then we have got the Seven of Swords. Okay, as I say, it's very, very fixed energy, you know, because like, we've got Death is Scorpio, King of Swords Aquarius, Seven of Swords is the moon in Aquarius, so you know it is, and we're in Aquarius season. But you know, for me, what it represents is this fact that we have got these three cards, and they're going with the fifth card, you know, the Five of Cups. There is this sense this week where feels like we're losing something. You know, it feels like and maybe, you know, as we head towards that Chinese New Year, and we're finishing up this time of the snake, we are losing those last residues of who we were. And that could be weird, like, the kind of grieving part is coming in, and it's the irony is not lost on me, the fact that the week that I decide to shake things up and no use Grief Journey Oracle, the tarot cards are kind of representing. Okay, however, I feel it's important to understand, you know, this death is a transformative period. We are, everything is a lot astrologically happening for the fixed signs this week. It does not mean that the other signs of the zodiac are not affected. That isn't true. But there is a lot of intensity this week. Loads of astrologers online have been saying that, you know, this week, in particular this weekend, for the 23rd to the 26th. Now look to the Monday, right? So you'll just be like having experienced as if you're a fixed sign. It is going to be like a pressure cooker. There is going to be a lot going on. Now that does not mean that it's going to be terrible. Okay, pressure creates transformation. It might not always be the most comfortable, but it's let me see. It'll be transformative, and that's the word that keeps coming through. Transformative. Just, I feel like we change, and I'm saying this, you know, I kind of it's maybe a bit arrogant, I don't know, but you know, like, being a Taurus sun and having Uranus going through my sign for the last 8 years, you know, I understand the importance of change now, so more than ever before in my life. I think it's where change, within change there is pain, there is loss, but there is also something, the change brings something, you know, that we could never imagine. You know, if we stayed in our stagnant state, we could never imagine where we're going or where we've been. Not necessarily where we've been, but where we've been has been that kindling. It's been that point of saying, right, okay, and you know, there's so much going on right now with 2016 and 2026, and I'm like, why? You know, and it could be that 10-year cycle. We talk about cycles a lot in the tarot, in astrology, in life in general, you know, in numerology. And the cycles coming up for this 10-year period are so significant to so many people. And if you think back in yourself, you know, 2016, what did your life look like then? You know, was there something that happened in that year, around about that time, that you can pinpoint to say, that was the starting point of where I've ended up today. And I think when you see that with the death card, acknowledge that and bring that into your conscious mind. You know, understand that yes, it's difficult. My God, is it difficult? But it's worth it. You know, when you can go forward and say, you know what, I know exactly what's going on here. We've got the King of Swords. Now, the King of Swords is ruthless in that he is speaking from a completely unemotional place. He is speaking to facts. He is speaking to what is truth. Not necessarily what is truth in his version, but he is talking about this week, where is the truth? Where is the facts? You know, it's like there is so much noise out there and there's so much conjecture, but it's like the King of Swords asks you to be in your mind, but looking after the facts of the situation, right? And it can come across as a bit cruel. He can come across as a bit cruel. At times, if you meet a King of Swords kind of person, they often, they say it like it is, but they do not. They're authentic, but not nice. Okay, that's the energy I feel with the King of Swords. You know, they're authentic. You don't really call a King of Swords person nice. You call them authentic, and being authentic is completely different from being nice. Nice things do not upset you, do not make you feel uncomfortable. Authentic things do make you, on occasion, feel uncomfortable because it's getting to the heart of the matter without using emotions. We have got the Seven of Swords here. Now that's the moon in Aquarius, right? It's oftentimes known as the Thief's card, and in this depiction you see like this courtier basically stealing a plate of biscuits, okay, from the Queen of Hearts. And there's various ways to read this card. You know, the way we perceive things. You know, it could be somebody has accused you of stealing something. You know, it doesn't need to be something like money. I hope it's no. But you know, you could be stealing thoughts, or you could be stealing time, or you can feel like you are the person who is in the receiving end of that. Okay, so if it's like thoughts, ideas, etc., right? Here's the thing. Somebody can steal your idea. Okay? They can copy it, they can clone it. But they cannot copy you. Right? They cannot be you. And trust me, it's frustrating and it's difficult and as rage inspiring as it is to be copied after you put in all your hard work into your original thought, whether it's your artwork, whether it's your thought process, whether it's something that you're putting out there for your business. It is the most rage-fueled, inspiring thing. You know, it is, and it's something that we all have to deal with at some point in our lives. Now, is this going to last forever? No, because the person that you are, you're going to have another idea. Okay, you're going to have another unique idea, and let them have that idea. You know, it's like, well, there you go. You know, it's a sign of insecurity, and the fact that they do not have the same capacity as you. Okay, that could be an energy that's coming up this week. It could be the fact that, you know, we've got something ending, and in order to like step into that new thing, we need to be a bit cutting with our words. Okay, we need to be a bit cutting, and we need to have those difficult conversations. Maybe we need to send difficult emails or DMs to people. Okay, and then we have our Seven of Swords, And it's like, how valuable is it? You know, and oftentimes, you know, here's just a thought that's came through to me is oftentimes when if someone reveals that they're some kind of thief, they're doing you a favour. So that they're doing you a favour because you are no longer going to have that person in your life. You're no longer going to permit them to be in your circle, to be in your friendship group, to be wherever they are, you know, or this thing, if it's something that's stealing your time, for instance, it could be some of you, you know, you're in a job and it's stealing your time, and it's like, oh, you know, you're better off without it. Okay, so that's the energies that are coming through to me just now. I hope that makes sense. I hope I didn't rant too much because I sometimes feel like when I do readings I rant a bit and I don't mean to. But it's just the information that comes through to me. Okay, so let's find our way with the Find Your Own Way Oracle. And it's so funny because I was so privileged to go to the launch of this beautiful deck last summer, and I just, it's like, I always hear the Fleetwood Mac song, like, you can go your own way, and I kept calling it Go Your Own Way, and Ari was like, find your own way, Mary, and I'm like, oh, I so it is. And Ari, I am so delighted to say that he is going to be at the Oracles Rebellion in person, giving the most amazing presentation, and I'm so excited for it. It's April 25th, 26th. But a shameless self-promotion there. Well, it's my channel, you know. Right, let's see. What have we got? What messages have we got for this week? Okay, I'm going to split them. Yeah. Okay, so this is lovely. This is small steps. I don't know if this is reversed or whatever on your screen, so I'm sorry. So it's small steps, and it's like you're knitting the universe. And that's what this reminds me. This is what makes me. I always think of that when I see this card, and I actually pull this card quite a lot, weirdly. But small steps. You know, we've got Saturn showing there. We've got the Sun. Oh, I think that's the Sun. I'm not sure, but we've definitely got Saturn there. And Saturn is that, you know, hard taskmaster. Saturn, incidentally, is the traditional ruler of Aquarius. We're in Aquarius season. The reading that we did there was quite Saturnian at times. Talking about, you know, difficult and hard lessons and structure and embracing structure, you know. So it's like small steps, just one wee step at a time, one wee stitch at a time. We may have grand plans, but sometimes it's like we don't necessarily feel that we're moving forward much in life. And I know that January has been particularly stagnant for a lot of people. But you know, you've been making incremental steps every day. It's almost like the returning of the sun, you know, the returning of light. Like for the winter solstice, it's like it's like a wee minute a day, you know, and then like before we know it, we don't notice it daily, but there comes a point where we suddenly realise, oh, look at the time, it's like, oh, it's still light, you know. I don't know if anybody else does that, but and then you get to enjoy it, you know, and you appreciate it. But without all those small incremental steps, we wouldn't have got to the big outcome, you know. So it's like the hardest journeys, you know, that kind of cliche, you know, the hardest journeys begin with a single step, and that's the thing, you know, it's like a small step. Don't beat yourself up this week, right? And don't please compare yourself to other people, right? Because everybody's different, and what you perceive to be a huge step isn't necessarily. But when what you have got, doing a small step to somebody else might be a massive step. So, you know, concentrate in your journey, and have faith in yourself because you are amazing. Okay, my loves, that is your lot for this week. Have I got anything to tell you? If you're watching this when it is released, there is a giveaway currently going on in my Instagram for a free ticket, an in-person ticket to the Oracles Rebellion. Now, if you have already purchased your ticket and you're like, oh no, I've missed out, no you haven't, because you can still enter and you will be refunded your ticket, the price of your ticket. Okay, so no, it's not just for people who have not bought a ticket yet. Okay, so I wanted to make that clear, but that's over in my Instagram at Marion Kate Tarot and at the Oracles Rebellion. All you need to do is follow the two accounts, and that's you in a bit of an extra follow the two accounts and tag people that you would like to spend time with, friends, etc., in the comments, and that's you. And if for extra ones, you can share it to your stories, etc. The usual Instagram stuff. Okay, my love. So that is me. Have a wonderful week. Go with the flow as much as possible. Realise that we are heading into February soon. And have some fun. Okay, take care, my loves. Bye-bye.